I want to welcome you to the Engineer Your Success podcast. I am your host, Dr. James Bryant. And listen, I have a great treat for you today. We are going to talk to Mr. Chuck Brockman. Chuck, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, Chuck.
I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been here, since 1987. I'm basically a native to Charlotte compared to people coming in and out. But yes, I'm a father of two daughters in their 20s, and I came here from originally from Mobile, Alabama, but came here via Green Bay, Wisconsin. So even though it's getting a little cold out, I still appreciate the fact that we got four seasons here and it's not brutally cold.
No, that is pretty cool. So Chuck and I met through a mastermind that we participate in for business owners, and I thought it would be a really good idea for Chuck to come in, tell a little bit about his story, and also talk about the services that his company provides. And so, Chuck, let's get into your story. You already talked about you're a father of two daughters that are in their 20s. You're happy to be down there in North Carolina where you can get all four seasons. But let's talk about your career journey, starting as an engineer and what's been happening in your life.
Oddly enough, I'm in technology, but started nothing with technology. My degree is in earth science, and growing up, I always liked science and enjoyed that. I had the little geeky rock collection. I always was made fun of for it, but oddly enough, I went in and got a degree in that. And when I came out of college and was looking at my options, I took some grad courses and I started working for an engineering company. But because of my science background, even though it was an engineering company, I ended up doing industrial hygiene for them. And so
Hmm.
I worked, yeah, it's a weird transition, but it was a place I loved to work. And then two, it was an interesting career. So I would go out and do all kinds of things from, asbestos, lead, air quality, particulate filtering, all kinds of stuff. And
Okay.
a lot of that was report writing and, a lot of the same things over and over. And while I was there, I also managed a lab. And so I produced the same things over and over, and it was all handwritten. And I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I started thinking about it. My first idea was let's build an access database, automate all this stuff, have it send all the reports out automatically with the click of a button. And by doing that, I discovered something that I kind of liked, instead of report writing, I had a little bit of creativity happening there and I ran with that. So I made a career transition shortly. I won't say shortly, but a little while after that, I decided that I liked technology. The internet was becoming more and more of a thing at that time. And kind of taught myself and got a break and made a career transition. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since then. I've been doing technology, mainly internet focused stuff
So that's
for
that's
20 plus years now.
so that's interesting, Chuck, because this is a recurring theme that I hear with a lot of people on the podcast, as I'm doing interviews, as I'm talking to people. They get to a point where they're working on something and they say the absolute same thing, which is there has to be a better way, right? There has to be a better
Yep.
way, or there has to be something more, to this. And so that's pretty interesting. I would even think and say that that is a recurring theme of a success principle is those people that are continuing to innovate and find success in life are thinking that, hey, wait a minute, there has to be a better way. There's something more that we can do or something different that we can do.
Right. I think for me, and it's changed over the years how that is. For me, it starts with curiosity. As a kid liking science, and then through the years, I always wanted to know a little bit more about what was going on and how it happened. And so that kind of became the driving force behind things. Something would happen, and I'd be like, "There's got to be a better way," exactly as you said. And so this whole continuation of learning and curiosity, drives you to learn different things, opens up a whole new world of what you can do and what's out there in front of you. And, sometimes you run with one of those instead of staying with where you're at.
Yeah. So you made the transition. So you transitioned, you were doing the report writing, you transitioned to technology, and then you went and moved and started doing what?
So I transitioned to technology. Specifically, I started doing internet web-based work, and that evolved in kind of a generic support for a company, and then it kind of honed more and more in the e-commerce.
Okay.
And so I spent the majority of my years in e-commerce, and that is both as a developer and then on the front end side of things with user experience and security back end. So kind of a generalist, but have is a generalist, you get to see many different things, and then you're able to help a company build something that becomes pretty good. And that's what I've been able to do over my career is help companies really build their e-commerce presence and then grow their revenue. An example being one of the recent ones I've worked with. They've become an industry leader. And when I got to work with them, they were in a tiny warehouse and we put some processes, systems together and and that's the curiosity piece is like it's so much fun to put something together that helps somebody, grow their business and you learn in the process and get to participate and enjoy it.
Wow, there's power in curiosity and applying curiosity to business growth. And so, in general, in making that transition, so there may be some people that are listening to the podcast. They're working. They may be in that report writing kind of mode, and they're curious about something. What would you suggest in terms of some keys to success from making that transition um, that you made?
Well, I mean, for me, there were some driving factors. One, I wanted, again, I think I said earlier, I love the company I was at. I love the people. They were great. And it was a really tough decision to make because of that. But I had my first daughter at that time. She was young, and I wanted to make a better life and do better support. So for me, that was a driving factor. Plus, I knew, there was more opportunity there. It was something that I felt was a passion of mine that I didn't know I had, first of all, but all of a sudden I had a passion and it started to click. And I thought, here's a better opportunity for, both me selfishly in a career, but, at the same time, it's not that selfish because I'm trying to like give my family a better life.
Yeah, yeah. So you're using curiosity to fuel your passion. I think that's pretty cool. I love it, man. So you've talked about this one company that you were able to help, and so what are you doing now?
So I now I am transitioning out into my own business here. I've done some things in the past by myself, and so my goal now is to take all of this knowledge that I've gained over the years and really be able to bring it into other companies to help them basically increase their revenue.
Okay.
And so I really start at a base level with the company and we evaluate website performance. And we start there, and the first place is speed.
Hmm.
And the reason we start with that is if you can make incremental improvements to that, you can make incremental improvements to your revenue. And it's basically free money that you're getting because everything's already there. It just needs some tweaks and improvements.
Oh wow. So Chuck, most of the listeners to the Engineer Your Success podcast are small and medium sized engineering consulting firms. They may even be some construction companies that are listening in, whether it's business owners or key principals of these firms. And so, how could something like what you're describing help them?
So it's the same principle no matter what the kind of company or the website. If a website is slow and you don't know what's going on, that means that people are probably going to leave quicker or they may just leave right away. So really focusing on the performance and the usability and mobile is another piece of that because that's where performance really starts to kind of stand out and become a problem is most people are using their phones right now to look at things. So if you're trying to get leads or get people to contact you, whether it's through a form or a call or whatever, if they don't know where to go or it takes too long for them to get to that point, they're leaving and you lost out on an opportunity that, could have been really easy. And if they come there with a specific interest in you, don't give them a reason to go away.
Yeah.
Really focus on making it best experience for them.
Yeah. So if you're looking to make those connections, you want to increase the speed of connection and deepen the relationship, right? So the faster that your website is and you can make that connection, then that's the faster that the message, your messaging, the thing that you're talking about, the problem that you solve, your unique value proposition as a company will be able to make that connection with your customer.
Exactly. And Google and other companies have done lots of studies to kind of back this up and really drive this point home that, you want to get your message to that person and make that connection as quickly as possible. And there's a side benefit to this. I'm talking about Google is when you have a fast website, Google rewards you in organic search. So when they start looking and indexing your site, if it's slow, they're going to like bump you down maybe against your competitors who are kind of doing the same thing. So focusing on this bumps you up that list in Google without having to really do anything other than optimize page speeds.
Yeah. So you're optimizing your speed, decreasing the time to make that connection. Chuck, that is really fantastic. I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show to talk about, what your a little bit about your story and what you're doing. I have a couple other questions that I want to ask you. One is, we're in the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas are coming up. What are you grateful for?
A lot of things I'm grateful for, but to hit on a couple of them, I'm grateful I have a wonderful family and I'm blessed that basically everybody's in the area. So we get together over the holidays and on a weekly basis for that matter. So it's just a bigger dinner, but with more food. But I'm really grateful for my family. It's growing up as an only child and now having an extended family with grandkids. It's such a great thing. And you mentioned before we met through this mastermind. So there are some people that have come into my life through this, you included, that I am like really grateful for because there are some meaningful relationships. And, it's one of those things. It's a busy world. So those are even more important for me now.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, and likewise in terms of the connection that you and I have been able to make, and the other folks that are
Hmm.
involved in the mastermind. These are lifelong kind of relationships
Yes,
that I believe
absolutely.
that we're continuing to establish and to nourish. And it's really good to surround yourself with people that are want to achieve something for themselves, but they're also happy to help you and excited about you and what you're trying to achieve and what you're achieving.
That's so well said. That's one of the biggest things that I think has come into play for me recently is having like-minded people with goals that are really trying to work in a direction. And I can't emphasize how important that is to have that at some point in your career and then going forward, because I think that drives you to be better and do better.
Yeah, it does. It provides the support that you need to really move forward, and you begin to understand that you don't have to go it alone. You do not have to do it alone. You can be with other high achievers. You can be with other people, and you're not competing per se,
Yes.
but you are helping each other to move forward. And what I found is when you surround yourself with those people, your rate of progress tends to increase because there's certain momentum that is built, whether it is looking at or helping someone else as they're achieving what they want, and you get inspired and you start doing a little bit more, and then you start talking and then they talk back, and everything starts to kind of just accelerate. And I think it's really important to surround yourself with a community that's growing and that supports you.
100%. Yeah, the inspiration, the conversations, it's just it's on another level. And that's not normally what I get when I go out the door, but when I talk with you and other members of our group, it's at another level. It's just a little bit deeper and definitely a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty cool, man. So, I really want to thank you again for coming on the show. And I've just started asking this, and if you don't have any, that's okay. And that is, do you have any questions for me?
I've got lots of questions, but I don't have one off the top of my head now that you put me on the spot.
No, no, that's fine. It's kind of like turning the tables on the interview and asking the person that
Yeah.
I'm interviewing, hey, do you have any questions for me?
No, I just want to say thank you because listening to you and watching what you've been doing. And so it's the inspiration that I love having in my life.
No, I appreciate that, Chuck. And I'm going to end this interview like I end every podcast episode, and that's this. Many people know what to do. Fewer people know how to do it. And there's a select group of people that actually follow through and do it. They're executing and they're achieving their goals and they're living the life of their dreams and they're building the businesses or the careers and the things that they want. And Chuck, I want to thank you for being part of that select few.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.